The Royal Academy, Paper 1, Unit 2, Part 1, Research Aptitude, UGCNET 2023. Research, meaning, types and characteristics, positivism, we are going to see in this class. Number 1, research. What is research? Let us see. Meaning. According to Csir, 2001, the word research is composed of two syllables. That is, one is re and the next one is search. Okay. So, the word research composed of two syllables. First one is re and the second one is search. Re is a prefix. Okay, meaning again. Re means meaning again or anew or over again or again and again, go for a search. Okay, so that is the meaning of research. Is a verb meaning to examine closely and carefully, to test and try or to probe. So together they form a noun describing a careful, systematic, patient study and investigation in some field of knowledge undertaken to establish facts or principles. Okay. Second one is, according to Rocco, 2011, research is a careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. Okay. Third one, research is a movement from the known to unknown. This is by Redman and Mori, 2010. Next one, see. Research is manipulation of things, concepts or symbols for the purpose of generalizing to extend, correct or verify knowledge, whether that knowledge aids in construction of theory or in the practice of an art. This is by Kothari Csir. Okay. Characteristics of research. Characteristics of research determine whether a research is free of biases, prejudice, and subjective errors or not. The terms are very commonly used in research, and the success of any research depends on these terms. Okay, those are given below. The first one is generalized, second one controlled, third one rigorous, fourth one empirical, fifth one systematic, reliability, validity, hypothesis, analytical and accuracy, 10th one credibility, and 11th one is critical. So all these 11 are the characteristics of research. See, in that first one we are going to see is generalized. The researcher usually divides the identified population into smaller samples depending on the resource availability at the time of research being conducted. This sample is understood to be appropriate representative of the identified population. Therefore, the findings should also be applicable to a representative of the entire population. The analytical information obtained from studying these samples should give a fair idea of total population, being follower of particular ideology, beliefs, social stigmas, driving force, etc. Let us see one example. A study to understand the occupancy statistics and patterns of small hotels and resorts in a given city. Okay, the example is the occupancy statistics. The occupancy statistics and patterns of small hotels and resorts in a given city would involve the researchers studying selected properties after the city is divided into zones. So how a researcher is studying? The property should be divided into zones. What are the zones? East, west, north, south and central zones. To easy the research. Okay, so the researchers can do the research very easily by dividing the total area into different zones like east, west, north, south and central. He may also divide the properties on the basis of number of rooms. Okay. After dividing into zones, he is now dividing on the basis of the number of rooms for categorization and selection for study purpose, thus ensuring that the findings are representative of the entire city. Now, number 2 is controlled. The concept of control is very important for a research. So why this is very important in this sense? In exploring the causality in relation of two variables, you set up your study in a way that minimizes the effect of other factor and affecting the relationship. So one should be keep in control and the other variables you can make it. Okay. So some variables are classified as controlling factors and other variables may be classified as possible effect of controlling that factor. Okay. So some variables we can keep it as control and others are possible classified as the possible effect of controlling that factors. Okay. Now laboratory experiments as in pure sciences like chemistry can be controlled. So chemistry experiments can have the control, but any study that involves social issues cannot be controlled. Okay, we can't keep any control in social issues. Let us see an example. Destination studies are not controllable as they have variables like geography, climate, accessibility, seasonality, etc. So these are not controllable. Okay, but studying the effect of standard operating procedures in a hotel applied in a particular service can be controlled. Okay. Next one, see. Third one is rigorous. One must be careful in ensuring that the procedures followed to find answers to questions are relevant, appropriate and justified. Again, the degree of rigor varies markedly between the physical and social sciences and within the social sciences. Next one is empirical. The process adapted should be tested for the accuracy and each step should be coherent in progression. This means that any conclusion drawn are based upon firm data gathered from information collected from real life experience or observations. So empirical nature of research means that the research has been conducted following rigorous scientific methods and procedure. Okay, so what is empirical? The empirical nature of research means that the research has been conducted following rigorous scientific methods and procedures. Okay, here quantitative research is easier to prove scientifically than the qualitative research. So quantitative research is easier to prove scientifically than the qualitative research. In qualitative research, biases and prejudice are easy to occur. Okay. Now, systematic. So in research, systematic planning is very, very important. So research should do very systematically. Then only the result will be very, very effective. Now, the procedure or process being developed to undertake a study should be carefully drafted to ensure that resources utilization is optimized. Chaotic or disorganized procedure would never yield expected outcomes. The steps should be follow a logical sequence to get the desired outcome. Let us take an example. The meal in a fine dine restaurant at a 5-star hotel cannot commence. Listen carefully, cannot commence. Okay, with dessert being served before the starter or soup course. Okay, so first they serve a dessert or a soup. Okay, reliability. This is the degree to which the result of a measurement calculation specification can be dependent on to be accurate. It is difficult to be measured accurately, but now there are instruments which can estimate the reliability of a research. It is the extent to which an experiment, test, measuring procedure, research instrument, tool or procedure yields the same results on repeated trials. If any research yields similar results each time it is undertaken and similar population with a similar procedure, it is called to be a reliable research. Okay, so what is reliable research? If any research yields similar results each time it is undertaken with a similar population and with a similar procedure, it is called reliable. So here the result is same. How many times we do the research with the same sample or the similar population, the result will be same. That is called as reliable research. Okay. Next one is validity. It is the extent to which a concept, conclusion or measurement is well founded and likely corresponds accurately to the real world. The word valid is derived from Latin validus. Okay, Latin word validus. The word is Latin word. It is called as valid. What's the meaning of this? Validus means strong. Okay, validus means strong. Now, this should not be confused with the notions of certainty or non-necessity. The validity of the measurement tool, for example, a test in education. See whether the teaching is understood or not, how a teacher evaluate in the sense through the test. By conducting a test, the teacher can evaluate her teaching. Okay, is considerable to be the degree to which the tool measures what it claims to measure. Validity is based on the strength of the collection of different types of evidence. In terms of research, validity is the strength with which we can make research conclusions, assumptions or propositions true or false. Okay. Validation refers to accuracy of measurements, whether or not it measures what it is supposed to measure. It also ascertains the application of research in finding the solution to an issue in different conditions. So what is this validity is very important to ascertain the application of research in finding the solution to an issue of different conditions. Okay, and it gives a clear direction. Validity gives a clear direction to the research activity. The findings of the study should be variable by the researcher as well as anyone else who wants to conduct the study on similar guidelines. Okay, so this is the importance of the validity in research. Next one, hypothesis. This is also very, very important, and this is the main part of the research. Any research definitely begins with the formulation of the hypothesis. Formulation of hypothesis is very, very important in research. Okay, it is a supposition, proposed explanation made on basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. Hypothesis can be defined as an educated guess about the relationship between two or more variables. So what is hypothesis? It can be defined as an educated guess. Hypothesis is nothing but a guess about the relationship between two or more variables. Okay, so keep this point in your mind. Now, in simple words, a hypothesis is an idea around which one starts working before it is actually converted to research. A question is what forms the base and is later termed as hypothesis. It may or may not draw a logical outcome. Hypothesis may prove to be wrong or null or void after the study is conducted. A hypothesis is an informed, educated prediction or explanation about something. Part of the research process involved testing the hypothesis and examining the result of these tests as they relate to both the hypothesis and the world around you. When a researcher forms a hypothesis, this acts like a map through the research study. This point also you have to keep in mind. Okay, a hypothesis acts like a map through the research study. It tells the researcher which factor or importance to study and how they might be related to each other or caused by a manipulation that the researcher introduces. Example, a program, treatment, change in the environment. Okay, so with this map, the researcher can interpret the information he collects and can make sound conclusions about the result. So this hypothesis helps the researcher interpret the information he collects and can make sound conclusions about the results. Okay, so this is about ninth one, analytical and accurate. A research should be focused not only about what is happening but also on how and why a particular phenomenon process draws certain conclusions. Any data collected, if it does not yield results, it is unsuitable to be for further studies or applications. So while collecting the data, we have to be very careful. It should suit the research. Okay, so unsuitable to be used for further studies or application. If it is not, if does not yield results or is unsuitable to be used for further studies or application. So, okay, so while collecting the data, we have to be very careful. It suits the research. Okay. Therefore, data collected should be reasonable and free of errors to be easily analyzed. So this point keep in mind. While collecting the data, it should be reasonable and free of errors. Okay. Now, next point. Accuracy is also the degree to which each research process instruments and tool is related to each other. Accuracy also measures whether research tools have been selected in best possible manner and research procedures suits the research problem or not. Selection of appropriate data collection tools is essential for a research. So this point also you have to keep in mind. Selection of appropriate data collection tools. Okay, this is also essential. Data collection tool is also very important while doing the research. Now, let us take an example. Guest comment card in hotels or feedback collection card in a dining outlet gives the guest a chance to be honest in commenting about the standard of service in comparison to asking them to give a verbal feedback. So rather than giving a verbal feedback, by collecting a feedback card is very important and which gives better result while while taking the dining outlet in a hotel. Next one, 10th one, in credibility, the extent to which analysis to finding the can be treated to be trustworthy is termed as credibility. Okay, the analysis of finding. So this point you have to keep in your mind. The analysis of finding can be treated trustworthy. That is called as credibility. Okay. Second point, saying this can be only assured use of the best source of information and best procedure in search. So this point is also very important. Best source of information, best procedure in research only give the credibility. Okay. So researchers based on secondary data are not reliable. Such data may have been manipulated or distorted by earlier researchers to suit their work. Okay. The availability of secondary data from public remains is easy but cooks with lots of risk involved. The research study conducted based on primary data is always reliable and carries more credibility. Okay. So this point also you have to keep in mind. The research study conducted based on the primary data is always reliable and carries more credibility. Okay. Now, in certain percentage of secondary data can be used in the primary source is not available, but basing on the research completely that secondary data when primary data can be gathered is least credible. And the most important point, when researcher gives accurate references in the research, the credibility of the research increases. So the researcher have to give accurate reference, but fake references decrease the credibility of the research. So which reference gives the credibility of the research? It is accurate reference. Fake one decreases the credibility. Okay. Next one, 11th one is critical. Critical scrutiny of the procedure used and methods employed is crucial to a research inquiry. The process of investigation must be foolproof and free from drawbacks. The process adapted and the procedure used must be able to withstand critical scrutiny. So this point is very important. While doing any research, the procedure used must be able to withstand critical scrutiny. Okay. So this is Royal Academy. This is the number of Royal Academy. You can contact this number and join the course. So thank you. Thanks so much.